Welcome to Sports Time with Chris. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'll be talking about the Utah Hockey Club's first game ever. For those of you who are here for 49ers stuff, I'll be releasing my 49ers Seahawks preview episode tomorrow, Thursday, at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And I'd like to welcome any new listeners who are here for the Utah Hockey Club. Thanks for joining in. And for those of you who are returning, I've decided to rename the Sports Saturday podcast to Sports Time with Chris podcast. That way it doesn't limit me to just releasing episodes on Saturdays, and I have a little bit more freedom with that, especially with, Thursday night games, which we have tomorrow night for the 49ers. And yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit more on tomorrow's episode. And for those of you who are here for Utah Hockey Club, thanks again for joining. I want to give a little bit background on my hockey experience and fandom. And here it is. Yeah, I don't have any, so... As soon as the announcement was made that Ryan Smith was purchasing the Arizona Coyotes and they were coming to Utah, it sort of ignited a spark in me. And I've never really had an interest in hockey. I've never been to a Utah Grizzlies game or anything like that. But hearing that we're getting a professional hockey team, it piqued my interest. So I decided to start. I decided I wanted to, get into it and see if it's something that I would enjoy. And so kind of one of the first things I did was just look up hockey basics on YouTube so that I could understand, the basic rules, some of the more technical stuff. I mean, honestly, hockey is pretty easy to follow. It's sort of like, it's basically soccer. Okay, don't get mad at me. I'm just saying, like, the goal of the game is just like soccer. There are two goals, there are offsides. However, it's definitely more fast-paced and it has the same intensity as football, except it's like constant. And then following that, I started watching just some games I found on YouTube. I would just type in NHL game, and whichever game popped up, I would watch. I knew some NHL players like Sidney Crosby. I know some others. It's just not coming to me right now. But anyway, let's get into the main topic of today's special episode. The Utah Hockey Club won its inaugural game against the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2, and there were lots of activities leading up to the game. I know I've been critical of Ryan Smith in the past, but I think he knocked it out of the park with everything that happened leading up to the game, the actual game itself. The atmosphere seemed electric. There was a sold-out arena, and even though there were some obstructed views, fans still showed up. They just wanted to see this first hockey game in Utah. The Delta Center was not built to be a hockey arena, so there are some things that aren't perfect, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of renovations they do. They've talked about gutting it and keeping the integrity of the NBA arena, but also building it so it's a little bit more friendly to hockey. I noticed that on the broadcast yesterday. There were some angles where you couldn't see certain guys. That was interesting, that even the cameras couldn't catch that. But hey, I mean, that's when your arena is not built for hockey, then, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, Ryan Smith could have built a new arena, but I really, really enjoy the fact that they're keeping the Delta Center and it's going to be the home of the Jazz and the Utah Hockey Club. There were talks about moving moving the arena to Draper or something like that, which I think you got to keep it in the heart of Salt Lake. It's such a key point down there, and I think there would be a major uproar if the Delta Center or the Jazz played in a completely different side of the valley. And then downtown would probably go downhill very quickly. As a first-time hockey fan, here are some of my first impressions. Hockey is a lot of fun to watch. It's like high-speed soccer meets the intensity of football. It's pretty easy to follow. There are some technical rules that I'm sure I will learn very quickly. Intermission between periods was surprisingly long. I wasn't expecting that. I think the first one was like 20 minutes and then the second one was 10, but I was not expecting to take a 20-minute break after the first one. Broken sticks. Apparently that's the thing. There was the defender for Utah who broke his stick, and I was like, what is he going to do? He just stood out there and he just was using his hands. I wasn't sure if he was gonna, they were gonna toss him a stick or what. So that was really interesting. And then another thing is that goalies in hockey, that seems like the hardest job and the most uncomfortable position in all of sports. Like the way they move their legs and they're just squatting, and man, that seems crazy. But it was a lot of fun. I'm glad Utah got a win in their first game. I definitely want to make it to, at least a game this year, but really exciting. And the uniforms looked great. great. I am still debating on if I want to get any Utah Hockey Club merch. I don't know. Part of me thinks it would be cool to have, something that says that for the team's first name if they end up changing it. It'd be pretty unique. I feel like Ryan Smith does want to keep the name as Utah Hockey Club. I think he really likes that name, and I don't know. To me, I still think it's a little minor league-ish, a little like, a guy, 30-year-old men going out and playing hockey. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the most professional name, but it could be unique too. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. I would like to see, honestly, if it came down to it, I'd like to see what everyone voted for the team name, and then from there decide between Utah Hockey Club and whatever the most popular name was. I have a feeling it would probably be Yeti, or God, if it's Mammoth. If they announce it's Mammoth, then I will go out and personally buy a Utah Hockey Club shirt or hat or something before they change the name, because I don't think I can't stand Mammoth versus Mammoths. I mean, Mammoths doesn't sound as good, which is why that name should just not be in the mix. And Mammoth, it's a singular Mammoth. It's not my favorite, but anyway, that's a little bit off topic. Gunther scored 2 goals. I believe he scored the first goal for the hockey club, and then he scored the one on I think it was on the empty net when they pulled out the goalie and were trying to score. I thought that was really interesting too, because obviously I've seen that happen in soccer, but in the empty net in hockey, it was really fascinating because the Blackhawks had all their players on, trying to score. Obviously, they seemed in control of the puck, probably because they had more. They had more players, I guess, in the hockey club, because the hockey club had their goalie and then the other 4 guys. So yeah, I'm still learning. There's 5 guys and then the goalie. Anyway, that was really cool to see. And then the icing part of it was interesting too, because obviously Utah Hockey Club's shot, there's an empty net. You want to take your shots. You want to try to score goals, which they ultimately did. But if it goes past that line behind the net, the goal, then it's considered icing. And then the puck gets reset for a face-off or whatever. So yeah, it was really cool. I actually, in honor of the Utah Hockey Club's first game, I did some underdog fantasy picks, and surprisingly I hit on 4 of them. I won $1 because I didn't hit all 5, and I only bet $1. So yeah, I just missed on 1, and I thought that was pretty cool, but definitely want to make it out there. And for those of you who know hockey, you'll probably be able to educate me a little bit more, but to me it seemed, the broadcast touched on this a little bit. It seemed like the hockey club wasn't getting as many opportunities on the net as Chicago was in the second and third periods, and especially in the third period, it seemed like Chicago was taking a lot of shots on goal, and they had a lot of good opportunities they were just missing. So maybe the defense is something that Utah needs to shore up. And 5-2, that seems, if I had to guess, I would say that's probably an average hockey score. I've seen some that go like up to 7. I don't know if I've ever seen a 10 in hockey, but that's besides the point. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. If you went to the game, let me know how it was. It seemed like it was absolutely electric in there. It would have been a lot of fun to go see. And then they had I wanted to touch on this a little bit more actually. They had a lot of festivities before the game over at the Delta Center, and I think they shut down one of the streets for this party. They had someone come out and perform. My brother knew who he was. I think I had heard of him, but I can't remember his name right now. So they had like a concert, and they had all sorts of activities, food, and then those who were attending that concert, that turned into a watch party, which is really cool. And like I said, I've been critical of Ryan Smith before with certain things he does. I am still critical of some things he does, but as far as this first hockey game, I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park, and I really would have liked to go check it out, but I work and I'm going on vacation here in a few days. So yeah, if you were there, let me know what it was like. I told my wife we got to make it out to a game sometime this year, because I think that would be a lot of fun. Hopefully the crowd keeps up the energy for upcoming games. They could keep selling out games. I'm sure they will, right? There are so many people who wanted to go to that first game who I'm sure will go to other games as well. I definitely think I would rather go to a hockey club game this season than a Jazz game. So that's its own thing. Anyway, thank you for checking out this special inaugural Utah Hockey Club game episode. My goal is to have an episode dedicated to do local sports every week. And then, that'll be where I talk about RSL, hockey club, jazz. And then, of course, college football season is going on. I've been following it a little bit more. I haven't been watching as much, but I've been following, and BYU is killing it this year. I saw on Twitter, I don't remember if it was an official page or what, but they were predicting that BYU would be in the college playoff this season, which is really cool. I mean, Utah has kind of been the better team for, it seems like, a long time, and BYU has looked awesome this season, and they're going to be playing in the Holy War here in a few weeks. I'm really excited for that, except I'm probably not going to be able to watch the game because I'll be working, so hopefully I'll be able to catch it after the fact. And then besides that, the majority of what I talk about on this podcast is the 49ers. Again, my goal for that one is to have sort of a reaction episode following each game, except there probably won't be one this weekend because I'm a little bit busy. We'll see. Don't want to never say never, but my goal is to have a reaction episode after each game and then a preview episode for each game. And I'm not entirely sure which days episodes are going to drop yet with the new podcast format, but Saturdays are probably my best bet. And so I anticipate Saturday being pretty consistent, and then from there, I'll figure out the rest of the schedule. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, go Utah Hockey Club. This has been Sports Time with Chris.